Hi, I'm Ross Barry. Thanks for joining our special Central Coast COVID-19 bulletin for Wednesday, March 25. Today we'll provide some updates from local district health here on the Central Coast. We'll update on recent Centrelink registration challenges. We'll share with you a short recording from Parliament House in Canberra from member for Robertson, Lucy Wicks, and finally we'll walk through the most recent announcements from both state and federal government. Firstly, we've just received the latest official communication from local district health, which advises that there are now 38 confirmed cases of COVID-19 on the Central Coast. This represents a doubling of cases in the last 48 hours and includes 31 overseas acquired cases, 6 close contacts of confirmed cases, and 1 unknown source. Of these cases, 5 have recovered and are no longer in isolation. All other cases are at home in isolation and there are no current hospital cases. Now, it's important to bear in mind that while the number of cases is accelerating, the number of tests being taken is also accelerating, and so this pattern is not as alarming as it might at first seem. We've just now received advice from local health that they are implementing changes to non-urgent surgeries and outpatient clinic appointments in response to the COVID-19 virus. This includes prioritising surgery cases to enhance intensive care capacity and conducting outpatient clinic appointments over the phone or video where possible to reduce close contact. Some surgeries will be postponed as clinicians prioritise cases based on each patient's needs. Chief Executive Dr. Andrew Montague stressed that there would be no impact to emergency and trauma patients, as well as urgent surgery cases, and medical staff will communicate directly with affected patients about rescheduling where necessary. Now, the full release from local health is available on our website. Across New South Wales more broadly, 212 new coronavirus cases were confirmed in the 24 hours to 8 p.m. last night, bringing the state total to 1,029. 2 of these new cases were children under the age of 10. Dr. Chant said many of the new infections were actually linked to the Ruby Princess cruise ship, which was allowed to dock in Sydney last week. Once again, it's important to keep in mind there have now been well over 67,000 other cases tested and cleared here in New South Wales. Okay, earlier this week, David Abraham spoke to Robertson MP Lucy Wicks, who is in Canberra for the current sitting of Parliament. Let's go to David.
Lucy has been working alongside in the National Cabinet of Premiers and Senior Ministers to coordinate the national response to the virus across the states. She took a few moments out to record this message for us here, the constituents on the coast.
We know that it's a difficult time at the moment for many people in business here on the Central Coast, particularly in the instance of sole traders who may find that their source of income is drying up as a result of the challenge of the coronavirus over the next couple of months. And that's why, as part of the economic support package that has been announced by the government, there is an additional payment on top of, for instance, the job seeker payment that is available without a waiting period, an additional coronavirus supplement to be paid at a rate of $550 per fortnight, and also the government will allow people who are in financial stress as a result of the coronavirus crisis to access up to $10,000 of their superannuation in this financial year and a further $10,000 in the next financial year. So that's up to $20,000 that people will be able to access from their superannuation. They will not need to pay tax on those amounts, and this will not affect any social services.
Notwithstanding the relief for many small businesses, many people are entering financial hardship here on the coast, which has a high proportion of small businesses, workers in the retail and hospitality sector, many of whom have already been laid off. We learnt this morning that the Centrelink IT system buckled for the 3rd time in 3 days due to the surge in demand. I took this photo from the Centrelink office in Gosford. One of the big challenges for these people is getting a Centrelink identity number, without which you can't currently log into the system to set up your payments. Many have lined up for hours with their passports or other ID just to be registered. Back to you, Ross.
Thanks, David. And while we're on the subject of federal government measures, a number of new restrictions announced by Prime Minister Scott Morrison took effect earlier today. These come in addition to the earlier announcement of the closure of all pubs, clubs, restaurants, food courts and other public meeting venues. The new protocols include a recommendation that all people stay at home unless they need to do otherwise. There's a ban on all overseas travel, a ban on real estate auctions and inspections. And the new protocols include a ban on all guests at weddings and, sadly, a limit of 10 mourners at all funerals. Perhaps just as sadly, there is also now a ban on extended family barbecues and other family gatherings. New South Wales Premier Berejiklian has said that all these measures will be enforced in New South Wales. In addition, earlier today, the Premier announced the passage through State Parliament of a set of 20 new emergency measures to ensure the authorities can appropriately respond to the COVID-19 crisis. Parliamentary Secretary for the Central Coast, Adam Crouch, said these measures were necessary for government and business practices to change to slow the spread of the virus and save lives. Now, these measures include, among other things, new powers for police to enforce public health orders, more flexibility for New South Wales Health to utilise private health facilities, reducing court appearances and allowing the conditional release of some low-risk offenders from prisons, and one that might raise a few eyebrows, changes to planning laws to ensure developments that protect community health, welfare and safety can proceed without normal approvals. Finally, just a few further updates. Firstly, Newcastle University Arimba campus remains open, but subject to all state and federal government protocols on non-essential travel, hygiene and social distancing. All TAFE campuses, that's Gosford, Wyong and Arimba, remain open under the same protocols to provide support services, but they've paused all training and educational delivery starting March 30. And finally, the Central Coast Community College has suspended all physical meetings. That's all for our bulletin today. Remember, if you'd like us to make any important community announcements, please email us at covid19news@centralcoastnews.net. And see our website for rolling updates on the evolving COVID-19 situation here on the Central Coast. Thanks and stay well.